I'm Mark Benedict from Sports Upgrade. Today I want to talk to you for just a second about something where there's a little bit of a disconnect between the way we teach athletes and what the reality is once they actually get into a competitive situation. What I'm talking about is the way we teach people to do either a lunge or a split squat. Both very similar exercises. Now, this is whether we're teaching them to do it in a warm-up type fashion as part of their dynamic warm-up, as a bodyweight exercise, or involving dumbbells, barbells, sandbags, what have you, to do it as an actual weighted exercise. We all tend to teach it basically the same way. You want to keep your torso nice and straight and upright, and on your front leg, you want to keep your knee from going past your toes. You don't want that front knee to go in front of the toes. We always tell people it's because it puts a lot of extra strain and stress on the knee, could possibly lead to damage to it, etc. Right now, take a look at an example of how to do a lunge. Okay, that's basically how you want to teach a lunge or a split squat. Okay, and that's pretty similar probably to how most people do it. Now, here's where the disconnect comes in the reality of things. Look at athletes when they compete. Look at competitive weightlifters, for example. Do their knees stay behind their toes on their feet when they lift, when they go down low to catch a snatch or catch a clean? No, not if they're any good, they probably don't. Now, that's something we have to keep in mind when we train athletes, is that we need to look at what the reality is in the actual sports situation. One of the big phrases now, sports specific. Everybody wants to do everything that's sports specific. Well, as we know, when you're training athletes, the only thing that's truly sports specific is playing the sport itself or participating in the sport itself. Okay? But we want it to be as close to sports specific when we work with an athlete as we can. As I said, the reality is we teach lunges one way, split squats the same way. In reality and competition, that doesn't always hold up. So let's take a look at a couple of examples right here. Okay, now that we've seen a couple of examples of what happens in reality, in competition, we need to keep that in mind. Now, does that mean that when I go out and teach somebody to do a lunge or a split squat that I'm going to teach it any differently than I have? No. I still want to teach them good form, good fundamentals. And if I'm questioned about it, my reasoning is, we want to do things the right way, build good habits, and that the athletes that we're showing as examples here are in competitive situations and their bodies are highly trained, both flexibility-wise and strength-wise, to be able to handle those sorts of movements and motions. Okay? I wouldn't expect somebody to get the same sort of motion and be in the same positions that's just starting off doing some sort of activity as somebody who's more advanced and whose body is prepared for that. So that's the big reason we don't want people doing things like that. We want to keep things strict and disciplined when we can and control them. But just keep in mind, as I said, I'm not doing this to try and get anybody to change the way you teach anything, but you need to understand the reality of what happens in sporting competition is what we need to look at. It's not always the way we think it is in the lab or in the training center. Look at those things and keep that in mind for all of your training for athletes. Again, this is Mark Benedict from Sports Upgrade. Please look us up, find us on the web, give us a call, let us know how we can help you to do what you do better. Thank you.